On behalf of the chair, Senator Moran.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Chairman Powell, thank you for your presence here today. Let me start just by making certain that I tell you something that I think I need to say on behalf of Kansans. I've never seen the level of anxiety, uncertainty, concern for the future as I see today when I have conversations with folks in my neighborhood and across Kansas. There's a sense that something's not right. Inflation is a significant component of that feeling, and the inability to know what's around the corner is terribly damaging to folks, both financially but also mentally or psychologically. There's a real circumstance out there that I want you as the chairman and your colleagues to know exists. It is, I think uncertainty and what the future holds is one of the most damaging things when people try to figure out their lives and how comfortable they are. I also want to highlight a particular Kansas, but middle America, across the country, issue of agriculture. I was on a farm on Saturday, participating in, observing harvest of wheat. We live in a world in which people are starving and more are going to starve if we are unable to, if we fail to get more grain into markets from Ukraine and from Russia, but from the United States as well. Agriculture, farming is a noble calling, and it has a lot to do with being able to feed people who are now desperate. Part of the concern in regard to agriculture is the interest rates have a significant consequence to the profitability, to the survivability of producers, and profit margins get squeezed if interest rates continue to climb. We face declining or lower land values. That creates greater access to credit challenges. Tell me how you see, one, how I can assure my Kansans that and Americans that things are going to be better, and two, how can I assure farmers and ranchers that their future will be brighter based upon the activities of the Federal Reserve?
So I take the sort of very low confidence readings that we're reading about and your comments about Kansas citizens as being pretty directly related to high inflation. And I think people haven't seen it. You know, most people, you and I, are old enough to remember what it was like, and it's it's something that it just really does destroy public confidence in the economy and that kind of thing. So we need to get inflation back down to 2%, and all I can say is we're using our tools to do that, and the public should believe that we will get inflation back down to 2% over time. Again, there are factors that we don't control, but those factors do tend to wash out over time. Things like commodity prices don't tend to just keep going up. They may remain high, but they're quite volatile over time. That's what the record shows. So we're doing what we can to get inflation down, the parts that we can address. So for whatever that's worth, that's what we can do and what we will do. In terms of the agricultural patch, as you know, we have, including your Kansas City Fed president, we have some terrific people who are Reserve Bank presidents who give us a good sense of what's going on in the agricultural sector on an ongoing basis. And it's obviously a very, very difficult time with fertilizer prices and difficulty in getting all kinds of inputs. And it's just a very challenging time in the agricultural world. We do understand that. Our part of it is to do what we can to get inflation back under control. I know higher interest rates are painful, but that's the tool we have to moderate demand and get demand and supply back into balance so that inflation can come down.
Mr. Chairman, in a conversation you and I had on the phone, you indicated that, as you did today, there are certain aspects of inflation that you have little control over. One of them, I think you mentioned, was energy. Let me be reassured, if you would, that there will not be actions by the Federal Reserve to make lending to fossil fuel producers a component of the policies of the Federal Reserve. When you say you have little to do with it, you could cause great damage if you decide to go down a path that was at least contemplated by a number of nominees for the Federal Reserve Board. And I would love to be reassured that's not a component that you would pursue, and that we would not see resulting increasing a cost of fuel as a result of federal policy, Federal Reserve policy.
In my view, and I think the view of my view certainly is that it's not our job to allocate credit to or against or away from any particular sector of the economy. That's a job for elected officials or for markets, but it's not a job for the Federal Reserve, which has a mandate to pursue maximum employment, price stability, a well-regulated banking system, and a sound payment system.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.